All right, today we're going to try and unlock a really complex and honestly a fascinating personality archetype. You might know it as the number 7. This is the observer, right? The truth seeker, the quiet mind in a world that just will not shut up. So let's figure out what really makes them tick.
Yeah, if that question hit home for you, then you are absolutely in the right place. We're about to dive deep into a personality type that is just built differently. They're wired to watch first, understand everything on a deep level, and only then, maybe, take action.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start on the inside, their inner world. Then we'll look at their outer image, see how they show up in the real world, check out their shadow side, and finally, map out their path to wisdom.
All right, first up, the inner world. You see, to really get a number 7, you can't just look at what they do. Nope, you have to start inside their head, which is basically running 24/7 as this hub of analysis and observation.
So, at their very core, a 7's whole operating system is just geared towards one thing: understanding. They're not built for small talk or surface-level stuff. They're always digging for the real meaning, the hidden pattern, the truth under everything. And that's exactly why solitude isn't just a nice-to-have for them. It is an absolute, non-negotiable necessity. It's their charging station.
You know, this phrase right here, this is like the internal alarm bell going off for a 7. They are constantly checking to see if things make sense, if they're coherent, so when they hear a story or a new plan at work or just any explanation, their mind is instantly running a diagnostic, just scanning for anything that doesn't quite fit.
And let's be clear, this is not a stall tactic. It is a fundamental need. A 7 absolutely has to pull back and process all the data before they can give you a real, genuine opinion. If you try to pressure them for an answer right away, well, it's like trying to rush a supercomputer. You're just going to get an error message.
This one is huge. This feeling of not quite belonging, it's pretty much a constant for the 7. I mean, even when they're right there in a group laughing along with everyone else, there's always a part of their mind that's standing back, just watching, observing the dynamics in the room. And it's not about being judgmental, not at all. It's just their default setting, analyst of the human experience.
So this really paints a picture of their mental toolkit, right? 7s are natural-born skeptics. They're system critics. They question everything, not to be annoying, but because they have this deep, almost allergic reaction to blind belief, emotional manipulation, or just going along with the crowd.
Okay, so we've seen what's going on inside, but how does all that intense inner world stuff actually look on the outside? Well, it creates a very specific image, and honestly, one that gets misunderstood a lot. Yeah, if you've got a 7 in your life, these words probably ring a bell, right? Quiet, reserved, intelligent, but also maybe a bit mysterious or emotionally distant. They can seem aloof, kind of hard to read, maybe even a little cold. And you're left wondering, what is going on in there?
And this is the key. This is the big aha moment. When they're quiet, they aren't hiding from you. They're filtering. They're sorting through all the noise to find what's actually true and worth saying. And when they seem distant, it's not a rejection. They are processing all the emotional and intellectual data that's flying around.
Okay, let's get practical. How does this super unique personality type actually handle the real world? You know, work, money, relationships. Let's break down where they really shine and where they tend to struggle.
A 7 absolutely needs work that switches their brain on. Seriously, put them in a job where they get to research, analyze, and think strategy, and they will be an absolute superstar. But drop them into some chaotic, emotionally charged office with a micromanager breathing down their neck and a bunch of meaningless, repetitive tasks, they will just shut down. It's a complete system failure. They need meaning.
And if you want to understand what motivates them, you've got to get this. Money is usually a side effect, not the main goal. A 7 is driven by the chase for mastery, for understanding a subject so deeply that they become the go-to expert. The money that comes from that kind of mastery, that feels solid, secure. Money that comes from hype or sales pressure, to them, that feels unstable and dangerous.
When it comes to relationships, a 7's love language can be super easy to miss. It's not loud. It's not flashy or dramatic. They show they care by giving you the most valuable thing they have, their focused, analytical attention. They will listen to you. I mean, really listen. They'll work so hard to understand you,
And once you've earned their trust, they offer this quiet, unwavering loyalty that is absolutely rock solid.
But of course, every strength has a shadow. And for the 7, their greatest gift, that incredible analytical detachment, can turn into their biggest prison if they get knocked off balance or hurt.
So when a 7 gets overwhelmed, their first instinct is to retreat. But instead of that healthy, recharging solitude, it morphs into toxic isolation. Their healthy skepticism sours into outright cynicism. They start trying to think their way out of their feelings, intellectualizing everything to avoid the messiness of being human. And they'll push everyone away just to feel safe.
And what's driving all this shadow behavior? It's a deep core fear, the terror of being misunderstood, or even worse, the fear of having their vulnerable emotions put on display before they've had a chance to figure them out themselves. So what do? They build these huge walls made of logic and isolation to keep everyone out. So, the big question is, how does a 7 break out of that fearful, isolated shadow and step into their best self? Well, that's the path of wisdom. That's the journey to mastering this energy. Think of these 5 lessons as the curriculum for an evolving 7. First, they've got to learn that solitude is fuel, but isolation is poison. Second, feelings aren't distractions, they're just more data. Third, sometimes you can't just think your way to an answer. Action is what clarifies things. Fourth, you don't have to distrust everyone. Trust can be selective. And finally, and this is maybe the most important one, wisdom has to circulate to stay alive. You have to share it.
And really, that's the ultimate lesson right there. A 7 who just keeps all their insights locked away inside, they become stagnant. But a 7 who figures out how to build a bridge between their inner world and the outer world, by teaching, advising, guiding others, they become this quiet but incredibly powerful force for clarity and real wisdom.
So that leaves us with a final question. And this isn't just for the 7s out there, it's for anyone who really values deep understanding. Is your wisdom circulating? Are you keeping all those insights you've gathered locked away? Or are you letting them out into the world where they can actually do some good?